All right, so let's get right into it. We're going to decode a massive geopolitical puzzle here, one that's reshaping our world as we speak. We're talking about a hidden alliance, a global superpower getting called out on the world stage, and a whole chain of events that, yeah, is already hitting you right in the wallet.
So, this was the official line from the US. Blow the hell out of any resistance. I mean, you can't get much clearer than that, right? When the naval siege on Iranian ports was announced, the message was basically, we mean business, no exceptions. But what actually happened next? Well, that's a whole different story.
Get this. On day one, literally the first day of the blockade, a Chinese tanker that was already under sanction just sails right past the US Navy. Didn't even slow down. It wasn't just testing the waters, it was a straight-up act of defiance, completely unchallenged.
And the response from the most powerful navy on the planet? Crickets. Absolutely nothing. This is the moment that analysts are calling the paper tiger moment for the US military.
Which brings us to the big question, the one we're here to answer. Why? I mean, really, why? What on earth could possibly be going on behind the scenes that would make a superpower just stand down like that? Okay, let's unpack it. So, to really get what happened here, you've got to understand the context. This wasn't just some random event. It was the peak of a huge standoff, one that was supposed to be this big show of American strength. But, well, it ended up revealing something completely different. Okay, so here's the play-by-play. The US wanted to cut off about 2 million barrels of Iranian oil every single day. A total chokehold. But Iran? They didn't even flinch. Instead, they basically turned the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most important shipping lanes in the world, into their own private toll booth, ready to charge ships millions just to get through.
See, this was more than just military posturing. It was designed to be an economic trap. And this is the part where it stops being about warships in some far-off place and starts becoming very, very real for everyone, including you.
$4.12. That number, that was the new average price for a gallon of gas in the US, all because of this blockade. Suddenly, this big geopolitical chess game had a very real, very tangible consequence. A whole lot of pain at the pump for everyday people.
And just to put that into perspective for you, that's a 40% jump from where prices were before this whole thing started. This wasn't just a small price hike. No, this was a massive economic shockwave hitting the average person's budget. And it wasn't just the US feeling the squeeze. Oh no. Over in Europe, America's allies got slammed with a $22 billion energy bill. And get this, that was in just 44 days. You know, that kind of economic pain, it starts to create some serious cracks in alliances. And here's the bottom line. The economic trap worked. It worked perfectly. The costs just got too high, and key allies, we're talking the UK here, officially refused to join the blockade. Just like that, the so-called United Western Front, it started to crumble.
So you got to be asking, how in the world did a country like Iran, under all these sanctions, manage to not only withstand this pressure, but actually go toe-to-toe with the superpower for 40 days? Well, the answer lies in a secret alliance, what we're calling the Shadow Axis.
All right, first up, let's meet the intelligence engine of this whole operation, Russia. Moscow was feeding Iran incredibly sophisticated satellite data, basically giving them a crystal clear, God's eye view of the entire battlefield. It's a massive advantage.
And they did this with some seriously advanced tech. They were using a Chinese AI system called Mizar Vision, and with it they could pinpoint targets down to an accuracy of 1/3 of a square meter. Think about that. That's insanely precise. And the result? It was devastating. 13 US bases in the area were either damaged or completely destroyed.
So, if Russia was providing the eyes, China was playing the role of the banker. And they weren't just writing small checks. Beijing was buying up a staggering 90% of all of Iran's oil. That's the economic lifeline that made the American sanctions basically meaningless and kept the whole war effort funded. Okay, so you've got the intelligence engine and the banker, Russia and China. But there's a third member of this alliance, and this one is a real shocker. A player who is hiding in plain sight and somehow managing to play both sides. The intel and the cash explain how Iran could last so long, right? It explains their stamina. But it doesn't explain their firepower. I mean, where did all the advanced weapons, the actual missiles, come from? That's the missing piece. Well, all the intelligence points to an unlikely culprit, Pakistan. Publicly, they were hosting peace talks, trying to look like the good guy. But secretly, they were acting as a courier boy, using their economic corridor with China to funnel weapons straight to Iran. And here's the craziest part. They used the chaos they helped create to get $5 billion in new loans, and then they deployed their own troops, basically renting them out to the highest bidder. It's an incredible double game.
So, why? Why go to all this trouble? This incredibly complex web of intelligence, money, and weapons? Because this was never just about one regional conflict. The shadow axis. They were aiming for a much, much bigger prize.
The endgame here is something experts are calling the yuanization of energy. It's simple, really. Iran started accepting Chinese yuan for its oil instead of US dollars, and that is a direct shot at the US dollar, which has been the king of the global energy trade for decades. What you're seeing is a fundamental shift in how the world works. We're literally watching a move away from a unipolar world, where the US and the dollar basically call all the shots, to a multipolar world, a world with competing powers, competing currencies. This new reality is exactly what the shadow axis was built to create.
And maybe nothing sums up this new dynamic better than this one quote. Iran is the button that China presses whenever it wants the Western world to scream. Think about that. The fight in the Strait of Hormuz, it wasn't really just about Iran. It was a proof of concept. It was a demonstration to show that this new axis, working together, can directly challenge American power whenever they want. They can't, as the quote says, make the West scream on command. Which leaves us with one heck of a question, doesn't it? Who's really holding the remote control now?